Hello, I want to read some Walter Mosley, Disciple, some of his science fiction. Um, I love Walter Mosley. A lot of people don't deal with his science fiction. I just want to read some real quick. I opened my eyes at 3:30 on that Thursday morning. I was wide awake, fully conscious. It was as if I had never been asleep. The television was on with the volume turned low, turned to a black and white foreign film that used English subtitles. A well-endowed young woman was sitting bare-breasted at a white vanity while a fully dressed man stood behind her. I thought it might be at the beginning of a sex scene, but all they did was talk and talk, in French, I think. I had trouble reading the subtitles because I couldn't see that far, and I had yet to make the appointment with the eye doctor. After 5 minutes of watching the surprisingly sexless scene, I turned off the TV with the remote and got up. I went to the toilet to urinate and then to, to the sink to get a glass of water. I stood in the kitchen corner of my living room, kitchen, dining room, library for a while, a little nauseous from the water hitting my empty stomach. I hated waking up early like that. By the time I got to work at 9, I'd be exhausted, ready to go to sleep. But I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. There'd be a stack of slender pink sheets in my inbox, and I'd have to enter every character perfectly because at the desk next to me is Dora Martini. Um, let's read that again. At the desk next to me, Dora Martini was given a copy of the same pink sheets, and we were expected to make identical entries. We were what they called at Shiloh Statistics data partners, or DPs. There were over 30 pairs of DPs in the big room where we worked. Our entries were compared to by a system program, and every answer that didn't agree was set aside. For each variant entry, we were vetted by Hugo Velasquez. We would check our entries, and the one who made the mistake would receive a mark, demerit. More than 25 marks in a week kept us from our weekly bonus. 300 or more marks in 3 months were grounds for termination. I climbed the hardwood stairs to the small loft where I kept my personal computer. I intended to log on to one of the pornography websites to make up for the dashed expectations the foreign film had aroused. I was already naked. I usually was at home. It didn't bother anybody to see a nude fat man lolling around the house because I lived alone. My mother would tell me that at my age, 42 next month, I should at least have a girlfriend. I'd tell her to get off my back, though. Secretly, I agreed. Not many of the women I was interested in felt that they had much in common with a 42-year-old balding data entry clerk. I'm black too, African American, whatever that means. I have a degree in poli sci from a small state college, but that didn't do much for my career. At least if I was white, some young black woman might find me exotic. No one seemed interested or too interested, and so I lived alone and kept a big plasma screen for my computer to watch pornography in the early or late hours of the day. I turned on the computer and then connected with my internet provider. I was about to trawl the net for sex sites when I received an instant message. Hogarth. Nobody calls me that, not even my mother. My father, Renneking Tryman, named me Hogarth after his father. And then, when I was only 2, not old enough to understand, he abandoned my mother and me, leaving her alone and bitter, and me with the worst name anyone could imagine. I kept saying back then, before the end of the world, that I would change my name legally one day, but I never got around to it. Just like I never got around to seeing an ophthalmologist. It didn't matter much because I went by the name of Trent. My bank check said Trent Tryman. That's what they called me at work. My mother was the only living being who knew the name Hogarth. Mom, For a long while, the screen remained inactive. It was as if I had given the wrong answer. The instant messenger logged off. I was about to start looking for websites and answering websites answering to the phrase well endowed women when the reply came. No, this person is Bron. This person? Some nut was talking to me, but a nut who knew the name I shared with no one. So, oh, Walter Mosley drags you in. He begins in action, drags you in, and leaves you wanting more. And we'll continue to read through it to give you a bit of what the story is about. And I probably will read this for 7 days. Probably read it for a week, and you get an idea. And then, but we'll see. I want to thank you for supporting me, and I say take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.